All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit of reality TV here. Now, when I'm on the treadmill, I'm watching Supergirl, and I'm about 3 years behind on Supergirl, so I'm trying to get through it because I'm 3 years behind. But and I do one episode per session on the treadmill. I'm down about 11 and a half pounds now, so it's working, and I'm catching up on a show that I like. But when the kids are gone to bed, and Yvonne and I need something to rot our brains before we go to sleep. We have not been watching Big Brother. I was put off. I'm waiting until certain people are out of the house before I get back into watching it. So I just go through the live feed spoilers and some videos that are posted there. And so spoilers for those who don't want to have where the veto is and everything spoiled. Okay? You're still here? Good. So Nick and Sam were nominated. They have the veto competition. Nick wins the veto. Well, of course, he takes himself off the block. Christy didn't use her superpower. She's kind of ready to just let it die. She's still going through meltdowns, a lot of meltdowns. She's a very emotional girl. I think they're keeping her in the house because she's kind of crazy. And they know that at any point in time, if they want to pull the trigger and get her out, they probably can. But they're keeping the whole Six Shooters Alliance alive. So when Nick pulls himself down, Holly, who's the head of household this week, puts Kat up there instead. And so it's either Kat or Sam that are going home. It looks like all signs are pointing to Sam, which will make fans upset because Sam has been one of the favorites that's still left in the house. One of the few that people aren't complaining a whole lot about online. There's still been a lot of complaining about Jackson, definitely. There's been a ton about the two Jacks, and I'm staying away from it because it's hard to get into it when they're that unlikable. And even Cliff, who kind of on the surface is likable, when you start getting some details and you start seeing some of the things he's doing that seem like horrible gameplay, and then Nicole apparently not knowing how the finale works, so Jess has to explain it to her. Why don't you put people in the house that all know how the game works? Not much of a super fan if you don't know how the game works. So that's all kind of off on the side. Now, Yvonne and I are trying to catch up on shows that we were behind on, which includes Masterchef, which this year we love Masterchef. We're really big fans of certain members of the cast and not big fans of some others. When you get on MasterChef, you have the quieter chefs that kind of get pushed around. And a good example of that is Suba. Suba's a great cook. Every time he goes up, his cooking is great. But throughout the competitions, they're always on him about how he's screwing up. You're screwing that. What are you doing that for? And he's like, I know what I'm doing. And when he goes, I know what I'm doing, leave me alone. People are like, he just doesn't take direction. Look at this. And then he brings the food up and they're like, this is immaculate. Yeah, because he doesn't cook the way everybody else does. That's kind of how home cooks work. And Dorian's always on the verge of a nervous breakdown, and yet somehow her food always works. And then there's Noah, who I think his self certainty, his self confidence, I think hits his downfall. Where it's like, yeah, oh, I can cook this, no problem. And it's like, as soon as I hear that, I'm like, you're gonna have problems. You're going to have problems. So, my favorite on it right now, it's, as far as I can tell, no spoilers towards me, we haven't caught up yet, is that Sarah is the strongest cook in that kitchen. And from day one, she has, to me, appeared to be the one they're favoring to give it to. When these shows start up, and it's the same with Hell's Kitchen and MasterChef, Chef Ramsay will usually spot somebody early on that you can tell he sees as a really good cook and as the most likely one to win. And for me, it's been between Sarah and Noah, and everybody else to me is kind of just in their shadow. I think that Chef Ramsay has seen from the beginning those are his favorites. He likes others as well. He likes Micah, but Sarah, I think, is the favorite, and you see that in these shows where you're like, that person just made a worse dish than that one. And yet they kind of let him get away with it. And it's kind of like, we know you can do this. It's not rigged or fixed. I'm not trying to say that. I'm saying that they They get a good feeling for who the really good cooks are and who they aren't. So if somebody that they get a feeling, this was a good dish, but they're not a great cook. This was a bad night for this person, but they're a great cook. It will affect how they decide who goes home at the end of the night. And last but not least, the ratings are in the tank for Love Island in the U.S. It's apparently a huge show in the U.K. It's a major show in the U.K. I get why it's down in the U.S. 5 episodes a week is too much. It's too much. The only way that would work with an American audience, okay, is to have a once a week review show that you have on the main network, and then through CBS All Access and some kind of a streaming service, you could stream the rest of the content and figure out a way to parse out the content to increase demand. But it's tricky because I don't know that it's a model that can work in the US. That being said, it is the most fascinating sociological experiment I've seen in a reality TV show. Because you have the sleaze aspect where the girls are all in bikinis and the guys are all in their bathing suits at the start of it, right? So you get the sleaze factor, the guys with their chests all bulked out and their abs are all perfect, and the women are all hot and walking around in bathing suits that don't look good. I don't know who does the costuming for this show, but my God, the high cut waistlines, they don't flatter every woman. And so some of these girls look really, really good. And there are scenes where you can tell they're wearing their regular clothes, like not something that the producers and that the design department have come up with for them. And they look really pretty, really down to earth. And some of the guys too. And then you look in the next scene and you're like, oh, what are they wearing? That's not their clothes, because everybody's dressed the same. It's the same style. And so that's the only part of the show that I look at and say that's not them being true to themselves. But that being said, you take the sensationalistic idea that these people are all sleeping in a bed together when they're strangers, and it looks to me like there's less fooling around that goes on Love Island than on Big Brother. That could be editing, but the fact that they're all in the same bedroom, there's a good chance that they're kind of like, it'd be fun to fool around with this person, but there's somebody right here. There's somebody right here. So dude's snoring over there. Maybe we'll wait. And I think the fact that Zach and Elizabeth on the show, where I am now, and I know we're still a few episodes behind. We've been watching 2 a night for the last few days. The fact that Zach and Elizabeth make it official that they're boyfriend and girlfriend was really nice. And you don't see that on a lot of reality shows. Even, the Bachelor, you can't see that. The Bachelor is the weirdest thing ever. Where you have one guy who shows up very rarely, and all these girls get to salivate over him, and, oh, I hope he picks me. And it becomes this really big deal, and it's really weird to me, because it creates a situation where that Bachelor or Bachelorette, the idea that they can live up to it in real life when you get into real life, yeah, good luck. Now on Love Island, they're already kind of living real life. So a good example is when early on Kira comes in. Of course, they film Kira like she's this glamorous superstar Hollywood actress because she's the best looking girl on the show. So they bring her in and she steals Cashel from Caro, and Caro loses her mind. And Cashel's all Twitter pated with her, and she's all over him too. But very quickly she starts pulling away. And now you've got the aspect where she's asking herself, is it that I see things in Cashel that are red flags, which she should. There are certain things in his personality that it's like, yes, those are red flags, and you should see those. And I would hope that there's people watching these shows and going, that is a red flag in a relationship, and I think I see that in mine. So there's some sociological side of it that is different from other reality shows. So if you can get past the whole guys got to go work out. I gotta go work out. I gotta go work out. And it seems like every 5 minutes on the show, the guys are like, yeah, you gotta go do some dude sweat together. And I keep waiting for White Goodman and the whole cast from Dodgeball to come into the house, because or Tommy Wiseau. I am not giving up on Tommy Wiseau being one of the Bachelors. I am never going to give up on Tommy Wiseau ending up on a dating show. That would be the most amazing thing ever. And if you never thought about it, now you are, and you never realized it was something that you wanted. But it's a fun show in that Zach and Elizabeth become a couple, and I was really happy for them, and I think they're a really really good couple. Zach seems like a really nice guy. Elizabeth seems like the most down to earth girl in the house, or villa, sorry. And then these other new girls come in, and does Zach tell them, I have a girlfriend? No. Does Yeaman sit him down and go, dude, you gotta be careful? Yes. He's like, you have a girlfriend now. You can't be talking to these girls. And Zach's sort of like, I'm just looking. And Yeaman's like, no, stop it. So, for favorites in the house, Yeaman to me is my favorite because when things happen that are bat crap crazy, his eyes show it. He can tell he's like, this is so of all of the people in the house, I think Zach and Yeaman on the guy's side are the most down to earth guys you could easily just sit down and have a beer with. There's other guys too who I'm sure are decent and fine. It's a pretty good cast, but on the girls' side, Kira, who they brought in as this big femme fatale, she's actually turning out to be probably on some level the most hard to figure out young lady in the house, and she's going to be very difficult for a man to just date and experience and all this because she's a girl that doesn't really need a man. There's the 20-year-old they brought in the show we watched last night who actually at 20 years of age is like, I need a man, and it's like she says that and it's like, if you're 20, you go to school. Don't do this. Don't do this. Just go to just no. Just no. Coming from a guy who was always like, oh, I wish I had a girlfriend when I was in my late teens, early 20s. No. I wish I could go back and go, hey, Shannon, you don't. You don't. Apply yourself. You don't need a girlfriend. No. Eyes on me. Stop looking at her. Eyes on me. And I wish I could go back in time and give myself that advice because it would have saved me so much trouble. But it's one of those things that you watch shows like this, and some of them it feels like there's some more reality to them, and some of them there's none. Amazing Race is of course on again, and that's one that Yvonne likes a lot. So once we get all caught up on these, we can watch some Amazing Race as well, and those are always fun. Amazing Race is always fun because I like seeing how people handle being first, and I like to see how people handle being last when they realize they're last. And when I see somebody who's coming up to the finish line, they know they're last, they know they're eliminated, and they've got their arms around each other, and they're like, you know what? I still love this person, whether it's their friend, their sister, their husband, their father, whoever. I love this person, and we went through this as a pair, and we're losing as a pair. We won as a pair. We're just so glad for the experience. I love that. So when you see people come into last and they're just they're miserable, and they're angry, they're still angry from something that happened earlier in that stage. And it's always interesting to see how people handle that. So there you go. Sort of a roundup on the reality TV that I've been watching. And I'm throwing the ball at you guys. Let me know what you guys have been watching. And I know Love Island's ratings are tanking. And I know how the show looks because it looks just the same as The Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise. And this is part of the problem too. You saturate the market. So when something comes out like this that really feels different, and it feels like there's something more to it, people just look at the commercials and they go, oh, I've already watched that crap, and you turn off the TV and you find something else to do, which is fine. But if you're looking for something to watch this summer, I'm sure on anybody's on demand across US or across Canada, it's on in our on demand on TELUS, so I'm sure it's on demand somewhere else as well. It's worth looking at. It's kind of fun. I skipped the first episode because the first episode's just all cheese. Just look at these girls in bikinis. Look at all these guys with their abs. Yeah, I don't need any of that crap. I'm in my 40s. All of that leads to bad things. Let's just go to episode 2, where I can actually watch as they all interact with each other. And it's really interesting how quickly people get attached or how quickly people don't. And how some might be more willing than others. So they might be like, yeah, I think you're hot, but I'm going to go ahead and hold off on the whole relationship thing because I've rushed into it before. It's much deeper than it looks on the surface. I don't know about the British version. I've heard the British version's a little sleazier than what we've been seeing in the American version. Maybe that would have brought the ratings up if the American version had been a little sleazier. I just want to defend the show a little bit because I want to say it was the Media Matters website, which is a big watchdog for what your kids are watching. It's not something that little kids should be watching, no. But when they said there's no role models, there's no positive role models on the show, I thought, you guys just watched the first episode. You guys can't judge this based on the first episode. There are absolutely positive role models. There's a woman in the house right now, the episode I'm up to, who's celibate, says I'm going to wait till I'm married. There are two people in the house who are like, we are boyfriend and girlfriend, and even though we are legally allowed by the show's rules to couple up with whoever we want, we've decided we're committed to one another, and that's it. There are absolutely positive role models in this show, and that kind of ticked me off when I read it. Let me know your thoughts as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and hey, thank you guys so much for all your support. This channel continues to grow. Some of that is Big Brother viewers that aren't happy with my opinions of the two Jacks. I have to say, if you set aside whatever they did or didn't say, because there's no consensus on whether or not they've said a lot of these racist things, they're still jerks. They're just, and it's I still think one of them's going to win it. I got a really funny feeling one of them's going to win it. You've got to get them out early. You can't get them out late. But we'll see. Let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon.